Welcome back, everyone. Let's move on to the next session of the day entitled 5 Successful Companies That Have Utilized Technology and Data to Transform Business and Society. Join me as I welcome back Paul Sanda, the Senior Trade and Investment Commissioner, Australian Trade and Investment Commission, Malaysia, as he introduces the 5 companies who have gone through various business transformation successes due to the application of technology. That I pass over to you, Paul.
Hello everyone and welcome. Can I thank our friends at MDEC for all the work they have put into Malaysia Tech Month and the events and activities. As you all know, technology doesn't exist outside of its purpose. It has to be fit for purpose or fail. Technology, both digital solutions and hardware, without people at its central premise is technology without a future. I like to think, perhaps sometimes naively, that despite the current disruptions caused by the pandemic, the challenges and the threats to our environment, and the constantly evolving economic and trading relationships, that our communities remain forefront and paramount. For all of us, those communities are family, neighbours and friends. For some, they will be employees or customer groups, business networks, research partners, interest groups, industry, marketing associations, government, and all those interested in what we do and have a stake in what we are doing. Australia has a remarkable track record when it comes to innovation, and I encourage all of our audience and participants to learn more about the exciting things happening in Australia's startup and tech communities. It's accessible online, of course, and if you're not sure where to start, please let us know. There are already some fantastic examples of where the Australian and Malaysia tech communities have come together to improve, to create, and to better our lives and our communities. Today, I'm pleased to introduce 5 extraordinary Australian technology solutions providers. They, of course, have people and creativity at their heart and soul, and solutions that put people at the centre. Overall, our unifying theme is how innovative and sophisticated technology in the Internet of Things, IoT, data analytics, and AI can assist business navigate the future challenges. The group of companies I'm privileged today to introduce illustrates the importance of data, how it is captured, how it is applied, how it can radically change the way that we interact with each other, or how we better understand the environments that we work in. In other words, how we can build better communities. The first of these companies, Myriota, a wonderful and exciting Internet of Things company, has micro-satellite technology and connectivity that provides a literal view from space to help us grow and manage our crops, for example, or to navigate physical terrains. Liftango helps us to understand and navigate the cities, smart cities solutions, smart cities and transport solutions, the cities that we live in, where our communities are located, and how we can minimise pain of going to work or just going about our weekly shopping. Curious thing is AI inspired, and it bridges gaps in recruitment as well as consumers and businesses, and ultimately providing better business practices. The next firm is MyPass Global, and MyPass Global curates solutions to help businesses take care of and manage their frontline workers, and extremely importantly, keep them safe. The last firm that we'll be speaking today is Zetaris. Zetaris makes it easy for firms to understand complex sets of data, making business operate more intelligently and, of course, thereby efficiently. All of these companies have applications across sectors and industry, for example, in property, logistics, agriculture, healthcare, oil and gas, and the broader resources sectors, to name just a few. But it's their focus on solutions that benefit people and community that gives them the real edge they need. We hope that our Malaysian and ASEAN partners will seek to learn more about how our firms can assist to develop solutions to your real problems. Please think of Australia when you're faced with that next really problematic tech problem. Please do contact us. Many thanks to all on the call today. Thank you very much to our participating companies. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay inspired, and of course, stay creative and innovative. Thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure.
My name is Alex Grant, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Myriota. The Internet of Things relies on connected devices and sensors to help businesses get the data that they need. Yet 90% of the Earth's surface lacks affordable Internet of Things connectivity. Myriota has solved this problem with low cost, long battery life, and secure satellite connectivity. With Myriota's direct-to-orbit service, you can securely track, locate, and monitor assets, no matter where they are, on land or at sea. Whether it's vehicles, wind turbines, shipping containers, livestock, equipment, or tools, no gateways or towers are required. Governments and enterprises in agriculture, transport, energy, and maritime all trust the Myriota network for planet-spanning connectivity. Now, without further ado, we'll switch over to a video where you'll get to learn how Myriota is lighting up the world. I think I am one of those people who looks for problems to solve. I remember asking my grade 2 teacher how to calculate a square root, and they kind of couldn't answer that. I was introduced to rock climbing by my PhD advisor. It's a sport that has a very intense problem-solving aspect to it. So you might have a particular bouldering problem or a particular climbing route where you're just stuck, and you might ruminate on that and realize, actually, I just needed to have the balance so that the force is pushing me in rather than off the wall. So now suddenly I've got an extra centimetre, I can reach this hole. One of the aspects of the research field I come from is finding the right level of simplification so that you can make progress. You've got a massive problem, right? Okay, we want to provide connectivity to the whole world. How do you even start? The trick is make it simple enough to make progress, and then add in the next little bit, and you move forward. Mobile phone towers cover only 30% of our geography. So there's a vast amount of a large continent where there is no cellular communication. Now, imagine you're conducting a business out in those regions. How do you get the data that you need? And it might be something super simple. You know, where is my piece of equipment? Is this water pump still pumping water into the trough? These are some of the problems that exist, not just in Australia, but all over the world, where that cost-effective connectivity is really the literal missing link. Can we provide that data connectivity being affordable, being battery powered with a very long battery life, being secure, and that it can be done at massive scale? So all of those little challenges provide very hard technical problems that need to be overcome. And we see an opportunity here. We're going to do some research. We're going to spin out a company to commercialize it. The Internet of Things is data communication with sensors that provide useful information about things on the ground or at sea. It could be saying we've got some generators or compressors on a construction site out in a regional area. Wouldn't it be great if we could get data from that to know ahead of time, this one here needs to be looked at, it's on its way out. Hey, Matt.
Alex.
How's it going?
Yeah, good, how you doing?
One of our customers is Ping. Ping provides predictive maintenance services for wind farms.
If there's cracks or holes or damage on a wind turbine blade, as it goes through the air, that makes sound. And so we listen and then analyze it on our devices. The worst case scenario is blade liberation or blade throw. So the whole point is you want to catch damage early when it's smaller and cheaper to repair.
The problem is how to get that data back to the operations centre. We've got the length of that, which is actually roughly the time of flight. So the Myriota module is a piece of electronics that provides the connectivity to our satellite.
Would you sort of have to think for rather as like some sort of location, like latitude, longitude?
The satellites that we use fly in low Earth orbit. By the time those signals get to the satellite, they're very, very weak, and Typically, the way to overcome that problem has been to have very, very strong transmissions from the ground, and that uses a lot of battery power. What we did is find some ways to be able to deal with those very, very weak signals. You then also need to do some engineering around making sure that the device on the ground isn't just burning through battery by being turned on. So it has an awareness of where all the satellites are. It sets itself a little alarm. It can wake up, throw the data, the satellite catches that data and data from millions of other modules at the same time, and then brings that down in aggregate into the cloud. That's all then detangled and unpicked and then sent off to the different customers who own that data. We're building, in fact, a planet-spanning Internet of Things telecommunications infrastructure in space that's Australian-owned and controlled that can serve not just Australia, but the entire planet. My co-founder, David Haley, and I actually go quite some way back. David was a researcher working in the Institute for Telecommunications, where I was also doing research. And now we're on the path to being the leading provider of satellite-based Internet of Things connectivity. You know, when we started Myriota talking about space-based Internet of Things, that was a little bit crazy talk. Today, there are industry analysts writing reports about the industry sector of nano-satellite-based Internet of Things. So there's kind of the success of Myriota itself as a company, but then also being part of building a market and building an industry, I think is very, very exciting.
Alex is a really good guy. He's obviously incredibly brilliant. You know, to go into areas where you don't know whether it's going to work or not, and to be brave enough to give it a go and make it work, that's innovative. You know, there's plenty of people with ideas, plenty of people with action, but until you pull them together, I don't think you've got an innovator.
In Australia, I see a lot of people having almost the can't do it attitude, sort of a shrinking worldview rather than a give it a crack. The fact is that if everyone thinks, well, we can't do it from Australia or it has to be done elsewhere, then we never get anywhere in Australia.
Hi, my name's Trystan, Eeles, co-founder of Liftango. Hi, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about DRT. As I mentioned, my name is Trystan Eeles. I'm co-founder of Liftango, and we're all about demand-responsive transport. There's a widely held consensus in public transport that there are 4 key pillars of the future of mobility: connected, electric, autonomous, and most importantly, we believe at least, the shared aspect. There's actually a lot of images used to demonstrate this, but I think this image sums that up really beautifully. Electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, whatever it may be, they don't really solve the core underlying problem, which is one person, one vehicle. With no change in the way that we share our vehicles, we're heading for Carmageddon, Carpocalypse, call it what you want. Our cities are going to look like this. Global cities like Kuala Lumpur, Jakarta, LA, London, Shenzhen, they're all grinding to a halt under insane traffic jams and harmful emissions. And anyone that drives in these places can get a glimpse of where our cities are heading if we don't change our relationship with our vehicles. The truth is, it's already pretty bad from an economic point of view, and it's only set to get worse. Billions of dollars a year lost in productivity. The social and economic impact is huge, and yet we accept it because it's become a product of a status quo around how we use our cars and our vehicles, and about how we prefer not to use public transport. And there's a few interesting reasons for that. If we come back to that same problem I showed you at the start, but viewed with an active or a shared transport lens, the road looks very different. This last image here on the right, public shared transport, that's where we focus. Liftango is focused on a new way of unlocking the power of shared transport, and in this case, the humble bus. In simple terms, when people ask us what we do here at Liftango, the answer is, well, we are reinventing the bus. Fixed routes, fixed timetables were the status quo for buses because we didn't have the power to dynamically route them in response to actual real-time demand from passengers. That's all changed. The power of the smartphone has changed that. We can now hail a bus. Algorithms can automatically optimize the routings of those buses. And people are comfortable using their mobile phones to register a demand for a taxi. So why not for buses too? This puts the passengers back at the center of public transport. And this is demand responsive transport. This is the core of what we do. This is probably a good time now to introduce you to the Liftango team and a bit about us. So Liftango is a global technology startup powering some of the most successful demand responsive transport systems across the world. Our technology reinvents a fixed route bus into a dynamically routed system that continually redesigns itself based on real-time passenger demand. Liftango is uniquely positioned as a market leader of this technology with a strong presence across the globe. So again, what exactly is demand responsive transport? I'm going to call it DRT from now on to simplify it. From a passenger point of view, it's basically a bus that comes to you when you want it and where you want it. From a bus operator point of view, it's a software platform that dynamically routes a fleet of minivans or smaller vehicles in a response to real-time passenger demand, rather than running to fixed timetables and fixed routes. These vehicles are often typically smaller, quieter, and often electric vehicles, which means even less impact on roads and even less emissions, of course. So what does DRT mean for our cities? Well, to understand this, we have to look back at the underlying problems faced by current public transport networks, like trains or metros. In the simplest possible terms again, these sorts of fixed route public transport services are perceived as undesirable by lots. It's the option of last resort. And this is mostly due to the fact that you have to leave your house to walk to a bus stop, to walk to a train station, wait outside in the heat or in the rain. And this is the single largest barrier to choosing public transport. And so people elect to drive in their own cars, which leads to the congestion and emissions that we saw on that slide earlier. In a lot of cities, it has to be said, the train networks themselves are actually pretty good. It's getting from home to the station that's broken. And as a result, public transport networks are underutilized and roads are overutilized. And DRT can help to fix this. When applied correctly, DRT, demand responsive transport, can increase the reach of the mass transit public networks like rail or metro right into the heart of the communities, taking away that barrier of people having to walk to a train station or metro station. DRT comes to your door when you want it, and this user experience fundamentally changes the decision-making behind people's transport choices. Across the cities of Southeast Asia, in particular, the geography, the climate, and the transport network create conditions where the positive effects of DRT are actually amplified. So when deployed at scale, DRT provides that intelligent, data-driven, convenient connections to public transport across much more of the population, which significantly increases that modal shift away from private cars. It's actually really difficult to visualize what this means to the average commuter in our cities. So to help demonstrate this further, we'd like to show you a quick video here, which really goes into the heart of how the user experience works, and so we can see the value proposition of the DRT for our cities and their people.
Environmentally sustainable future. At Liftango, we believe the future of transportation is evolving rapidly, giving rise to a lot of exciting innovations, but also greater challenges. One of the main challenges is worsening traffic congestion and the resulting pollution in our cities. Each year, people in cities like Kuala Lumpur spend an average of 350 hours stuck in heavy traffic, generating emissions and experiencing that frustration. This nightmare is typical of cities across the world, and spending hours in transit is a familiar problem for most commuters. In a modern society, access to transport should be a fundamental right for everyone. However, we've found a reluctance to use public transport in many cities and suburban areas, typically because of the inconvenience of getting to public transport hubs like trains or subway stations. And this is where Liftango comes in. We want to help people enjoy greater mobility. So we asked ourselves, 1, can we make better use of existing public transport networks by making it easy and convenient to access them? And 2, given that our cities are being built around the needs of the private car and not people, is it possible to make better use of public transport fleets? Well, the answer to both questions is, of course, yes. We designed a demand-responsive transport solution that uses real-time data and artificial intelligence to create flexible and convenient transport services that will take commuters where they need to go. With neural networks and machine learning, we can achieve greater fleet efficiency and enhance the commuting experience of people across the globe. Demand-responsive transport is based on human-centered design that gives commuters easy access to public transport hubs or even the essential services in their own communities. With Liftango's technology, planning a trip is convenient and quick. Booking a ride to the nearest train station or bus stop is right at your fingertips. And planning a weekly commute in advance with complete confidence is also made simple with some carefully designed features. Picture your commute without the need to drive or deal with traffic congestion. Together, we can provide equitable and convenient access to transport, upgrade the way people commute, and improve everyday life. Just imagine how people's lives can change when they no longer have to worry about wasting precious hours stuck in traffic or searching for a car park. The positive impacts of demand-responsive transport touch all the most important elements of the world around us. Because the technology enables seamless integration into the broader transport network, it will reduce the number of vehicles on our roads permanently. This means less traffic jams, less carbon emissions, less road accidents, and less pollution in our cities. By unlocking all the good that comes from shared transport, we are moving humanity towards a healthier and environmentally sustainable future. At Liftango, we believe in putting transport where the people are.
Most public transport agencies across the world, and many commercial property developers in fact, are at some point on the journey towards deploying DRT at scale in their city or development. Some are at an early stage, testing the concept, simulating the concept, doing some analysis, and some are progressing beyond pilots into deploying DRT more broadly. Liftango has worked with many of these agencies, has developed what we call a DRT playbook. It's essentially a guide and a set of tools which can help them to understand and plan for how DRT can work in their own city for their own people. As part of this, Liftango has the ability to simulate deployments in desktop environments, so understanding how DRT services may work in your region in a safe, low-cost environment of running feasibility studies. This is about testing scenarios, trying and iterating on different service and fleet designs, and seeing how DRT can make positive change in your communities. So here's the call to action. If you're interested in building the future of transport, you're part of the city or development team, an innovation group, a commercial or residential property developer, reach out to us for a chat. We're more than happy to work with you to understand DRT, to simulate the benefits DRT can have for your people, and measure the positive impacts DRT can have in your city, your development, or your region. So as mentioned, thank you very much for your time. That's it from me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rick, and I head up delivery at Curious Thing AI. Interacting with voice bots is no longer a novelty. We all use them every day, whether it's Google or Cortana, Siri or Alexa. The concept isn't new to any of us. And while those voice assistants are generally used as home helpers or in our personal lives rather than corporate tools, the enormous potential that conversational AI offers to enterprise is only just starting to be harnessed. So today I'm going to talk about what's happening in this space, why organizations should care about it, and the thing that we sometimes don't want to talk about, which is the bad bots and how we can collectively get past the negative perceptions that scammers are creating with customers. One of the best things about conversational AI is what it opens up for organizations as a way of engaging with employees or customers at enormous scale. Huge numbers of phone conversations can be had simultaneously, which means huge amounts of data can be gathered simultaneously. Business leaders know if you have the insight about your customers before your competitors do, you have the upper hand. And the same goes with understanding your employees. If you know what's going on with them, you can retain and help shape their experiences with you. But the challenges with conversational AI are how it works and how it's best used. If you think back to the voice assistants you talk with, when you speak to Siri or to Google, you generally just ask them for something. Play this song or set this reminder or help me to navigate to somewhere. It's all really one directional. So if what you want to do in your conversation is gather massive insight, that breed of conversational AI probably isn't going to get you there. What traditional conversational AI lacks is curiosity. Think about the sorts of things you might have traditionally used conversational AI for. The classic demonstration is the pizza bot. In this context, as a customer, you're directing the bot to fulfill a simple task for you: order my pizza. And the bot will ask enough questions to make sure it gets you the right kind of pizza. What toppings do you want? What base do you want? What size? When do you need it? It asks those questions, and it might even try to upsell you. What drinks do you need? And do you want some garlic bread? But that's it. Once the bot has completed all the information it needs to fill out those slots, it moves on, gets the order in, and your pizza's delivered. But what happens if the customer says something you're not expecting? Imagine if, when the bot asks, would you like garlic bread, the customer says, no way, your garlic bread is terrible. These current voice assistant bots don't have the intuition to do anything with that information aside from recording it as a no, the customer doesn't want it. Wouldn't it be great if you could ask them what was terrible about it, or when did it happen? Wouldn't you want to know why they're calling you instead of your competitor if something went so terribly wrong before? Conversational discovery AI opens up this world of insights and questions. We've built our AI, a curious thing, to be inherently curious, to discover new signals, new topics, and to discuss things in the way that humans would. So what even makes a conversation? When we as humans have a conversation, we tend to chat about a topic. Let's pretend that we were physically together at this conference. Wouldn't that be nice? So what we're talking about is where to get great coffee. You tell me that you know the best place in the area. My natural response is, where? What's so great about it? And you will tell me where it is, and you'll say, oh, the flavor's fantastic and it's worth paying a little bit more because the service is just so good. It's such a cute place. What you've just offered to me is information that I didn't even know I was looking for. You said it was a little more expensive. So I now want to find out how much more expensive. I might not have thought to ask otherwise. So we agree that we're going to meet up there later on, and then, well, we're done with the conversation about coffee and we move on and talk about something else. What happens in that structure is we discuss a topic. We roam around it and we share information and ask each other questions. And then once we're both satisfied we've had enough of it, we move on. That's how Curious Things Conversational Discovery AI actually works. We call it CODA for short. And CODA has a conversation that works on topics, not filling slots and not the intent. CODA doesn't need to be trained in everything that it's going to talk about. It's smart enough to roam around a topic, and when it doesn't have enough information, it asks for more. And when it works out there's nothing more to say on that, it's real in a customer engagement setting. Imagine that you've just launched a brand new loyalty program. So you want to make sure that all of your customers know about it. Then CODA wants to know, what do you think of it? And the customer says, yeah, it's pretty good. It was a bit complicated, but I'm sure I'll get the hang of it. And CODA realizes that the complication is a topic that needs to be explored. Tell me what you found complicated. CODA will then ask open language questions and gather real insights for your business. And it can do it either one-to-one or at nearly limitless scale. So discovering insights en masse has huge potential right across the organization. From HR teams who want to screen mass numbers of candidates or engage feedback from all of their employees, or providing company-wide notifications of stay-at-home orders or completing well-being checks, right through to contact centers and everything in that space, whether that's getting information or providing special offers or claims teams reaching out to provide support. Conversational AI, like all other chatbots, is always on. It never takes a sick day. It's really reliable and the quality is really predictable. But what this new generation of AI means is that beyond the efficiency and predictability of other services, now voice bots can also be insightful. So to come to the elephant in the room, the reality is that most customers have had an experience with a robocall, whether that's calling them to say that something bad has happened and trying to trick them into pressing 1, or it's a blast robocall that just pushes information but doesn't give you a way to respond. These two things are not conversational AI. By their very nature, they don't allow the customer to respond in a conversational way using their voice. But for customers, this is their perception of conversational AI. And so that nervousness that both businesses and customers can feel is a real hurdle that we do need to jump. But it's not insurmountable. There's three key things that we think need to be addressed: education, careful adoption, and really thoughtful UX design. If I put the challenge around the scammers in context, there are billions of spam emails sent every year, and yet email is still one of the primary conversational and interaction tools used to communicate by businesses. Like most innovations, scammers jump on this stuff first, but ultimately it's going to be organizations who will triumph, finding out how to use these things well and shaping the role that they play in customer experience. So what is the role of organizations? First and foremost, it's around education, informing their partners and their customers about what's happening and why. Introduce the AI, have a bit of fun with it, give it an identity and let people interact with it and build trust with it like they would do with a human representative. From a technology standpoint, businesses like Curious Thing, our responsibility is to build experiences that are of value to customers as well as to the organizations. We have to design these things in really thoughtful ways and implement it where it makes sense that the customer is going to not only have a great experience, but they're going to get an outcome which is of value and meaningful for them. We also have to design things ethically, transparently, let people know what they are speaking with and why they're speaking to it. Now, if you're curious things, it all comes back to that question: why? Why would businesses do this? It's for mass insights, insights one-to-one, insights at scale, understanding your customers and your employees better. Why would customers trust this? Because it's been done thoughtfully and with them and their needs in mind. And why will it work? That's because our AI can handle why. Conversational curiosity is a real thing, and it's going to change the way customer experiences are shaped and how organizations learn about their customers in small groups or en masse. At Curious Thing, we're pretty excited about this new world of AI. If you're curious too, we'd love to talk to you. So come and check us out at our virtual booth for more information. Thank you.
G'day everyone, my name's Gavin. I'm the Head of Growth and Partnerships for an Australian tech company here called MyPass Global. MyPass Global is solving the problems large organisations have, complex industries have with managing their contractors' workforce. Typically seeing their qualifications and ensuring they're safe to be on site and they're productive from day one is a real challenge. So today we're just going to go through a presentation to hopefully give you some insights to think about how to solve this in your organization. So let's begin. MyPass reshapes the way you manage contractors to improve safety and improve productivity throughout your business. So before we start, I think it might be a good idea to define what contractor management is for large organizations, for those who don't know. So contractor management is the process of sourcing, onboarding, and engaging workers on a contract basis to complement an existing workforce to deliver company goals and objectives. It is the function of hiring specialist expertise that is not continuously or routinely required, supplementing company resources during periods of high demand and providing additional capacity without the overheads associated with in-house employees. There are several models that businesses use to engage contractors. They engage contractors on an individual basis that embed within a team. They could be for a period of time. A baseload support, so ongoing engagements to fill specific needs such as contract maintenance or catering. Airline industries may outsource baggage handling to a contracting organization, for instance, or their food and beverage may be outsourced to another organization as well. Or top-up support for temporary projects, such as shutdowns and turnarounds on complex sites like oil and gas refineries or mining sites. So it's fair to say contract workers are here to stay. In the last period of time, 10 years plus, there's been a definite change in worker behavior. Workers are no longer staying with their employees for long periods of time. So as the global workforce shifts towards a more flexible structure, we have more independent contractors seeking to choose when and what terms they engage with companies. The result of this more transient yet highly skilled workforce which raises the challenges of tracking and proactively engaging with individuals, particularly with border restrictions and a lack of access to international experts. The supply of labour also is not meeting demand. Now, when you're continually transitioning highly skilled workers from one site to another, or an employee goes from one employer to another on different projects like turnarounds, they come with a high degree of qualifications and specialist skill sets that need to be verified on site as well. Now, with worker behaviour in the global skills shortage, workers are currently leaving the resource sector at the same pace as during the global financial crisis, and also other industries as well. The other industries are experiencing high competition for skilled labour, and challenges with mobilising workers across different sites and different regions can be a challenge as well. Now, there are clear benefits to utilising contractors. First and foremost, flexibility. Large operator doesn't have to go through a recruitment process, doesn't have to vet employees, and they don't have to employ them for long periods of time. They are able to engage specialty skill sets for key roles during projects like turnarounds and mining shutdowns. There's a reduced HR cost. They don't have to carry as many recruiters in their business, or they don't have to manage, their superannuation and things like that, is because they're coming in as contracted labor. And also minimal training. They don't have to put them through certain training because they've already come highly skilled and highly trained. Now, there is a real cost to contractor management, and sometimes it's not apparent. So one of the downsides of hiring contingent workers can be the increased risk of serious safety incidents. It's an uncomfortable fact that contractor workforces represent the majority of on-site accidents for most companies, and it's a multifaceted issue and not exclusive to, obviously, contractor workers are less familiar with new projects and sites, heightening the risk of serious injury or accident. Not feeling part of the team can cause an issue as well. They're less inclined to speak up. And compared to in-house staff, temporary workers often receive less training for the specific site as well. Now, as contractor workers are transient, it can be a challenge to maintain visibility over their specific skills and competency data. So which means that they can come to site not fully qualified, or not ready to work, not suitably inducted, and that can cause time delays and ultimately cause project delays or limit the amount of time it takes to get back up to running at the end of a project. Now, with the real cost of contractor management, there is manual entry of large data sets. So if we use an example of 100 contractors coming to work on a site, let's say each one of those employees has 20 qualifications that they bring with them. Maybe it's licensing, it's tertiary qualifications, maybe it's trade qualifications plus inductions. That's 2,000 pieces of documentation that need to be verified, put into their system, and it really incurs a large manual effort to maintain. Now, there's increased risk of serious safety incidents as well, and potentially severe financial consequences also. Now, for some high output facilities, the cost of project overruns can be about $1 million per hour in lost revenue when production is halted. The result of a shutdown or turnaround overrunning by a few hours because it's not finished in time and can require rework due to poor workmanship, and it can be extremely costly as well. So these are some of the real costs of contractor management that aren't always apparent as well. So as I mentioned before, for every 100 contractors, based on our data in our system, it's more than $500,000. Now that comes with a high compliance rate of 80%. And compliance rate, by that, I mean checking qualifications, that making sure a welder is a welder and have the right qualifications, making sure they have the right tickets and license to be able to operate on your site. Now, also some of these costs, as I previously mentioned, there's additional administration effort to manage tickets and licenses. When I mentioned before that reduction in admin costs, that's true, but it also gets just shifted for different departments inside an organizations to manage qualifications and licenses. Now, because of the manual processes, and there are silos of information between organizations, between operator and service provider and worker as well. Now, as a consequence, it puts extreme pressure on organizations' profits. And if it's putting extreme pressure on profits, corners can be cut and organizations can be exposed to significant safety incidents. And we're seeing that out in the real world today. Now, the contractor organizations or service providers are also facing the similar costs. This isn't just to large organizations, it's throughout this whole supply chain. Now, the solution is connecting the supply chain. It's about, and that's where MyPass comes in. So MyPass empowers safe, agile, and connected supply chains through a collaborative platform and an industry-verified data set. With the advent of cloud for enterprise in the last 7 or 8 years, MyPass has been able to reverse the data ownership model back to the employee to be responsible for their qualifications and licenses. This is unlike any other system that exists in the world today. The end user creates a digital passport, which you can see in this image here, and then makes that digital passport available to their employer, and their contractor employer then in turn makes it available to their client. And that's how we maintain an industry data set, verified industry data set. And we use a large amount of automation to actually transition workers through, or the manual tasks through each stage of interacting with a contractor worker, right through from sourcing and recruiting, through to onboarding, through to ongoing compliance, and through to offboarding, and also collaborating between service provider and operator. This way, we maintain transparency of information, and it's always available at the fingertips of those that need it in real time. So when a worker arrives to site, they're ready to work, they're safe, they're qualified, and it minimizes the chance of downtime and safety incidents. One of our clients here in Australia recorded the best quarter of safety that they've had in the last 4 years. And a large part of that was attributed to MyPass being on site and all contractors needing to subscribe or use the platform before they arrive to site. And that gave the large oil and gas operator peace of mind that everyone was ready to be on site and to work and safe. Now, the outcome from using a collaborative platform is a 70% reduction in operational costs for getting people to site. In some instances, our clients have been able to reduce the administration team from 5 people to 1 through automation and efficiencies, and the step change in safety improvements as well. So I want to thank you for listening to our talk, and this is some of our clients here in Australia. Now, if you have any questions or you would like to reach out, I invite you to visit our virtual booth at MyPass, and I'd be happy to set up a 15-minute conversation to answer any questions that you have and introduce ourselves and have a conversation. So once again, thank you very much, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Hi folks, welcome to our presentation. This is the Zetaris presentation for the conference. I thank you for attending. My name is Vinay Samuel. I'm the CEO and founder of Zetaris. And soon I'll take you through some slides to explain to you what the Zetaris platform is all about. I'll just say we're a new type of data platform where we enable you to leave the data where it is and not have to centralize the data into a centralized data warehouse or data lake. What Zetaris is, it's a network data platform, and it enables a thing called analytical data virtualization. So let me just try and share a few slides with you right now. So I'll bring my slides up. Let me have a look. So as you can see, what at Zetaris, we call our technology a network data platform. And the premise is that what we're doing is changing data warehousing. We're changing the way analytics works by reducing the need or getting rid of the need to move all of the data into a central location. So we actually don't believe that you need to ETL or pipeline all of the data into a central data warehouse. We believe you can leave your data in the cloud, in your data center, inside, whether you've got a big data stack like Hadoop or Spark. You leave the data where it is and we'll join it in real time. And that's why Zetaris says that we're the analytics platform that lets you do instant analytics on any data anywhere. So let me just restate the problem that we fix. Traditionally, banks, telcos, retailers, large organizations, when they want to do analytics or machine learning or BI reporting, what they do is they move data from the source system. So if you look at the left of the screen at the moment, they move data from the corporate data warehouse from their website, from wherever data is in the organization, even in the cloud, and they move it using ETL processes or data pipelining processes. And basically what they do is they copy the data into what's called aggregation stores. So again, looking from the left to the right, the data is moved through aggregation stores to clean it, to transform it into data warehouses. And then from the data warehouse, data again is moved. And when I say moved, I've got to say data is copied. And it's again reproduced as data marts or business-facing data warehouses or even files. So this is a common scenario in most companies. This is the, I guess, the data warehousing, the data lake landscape that organizations kind of have. And what we found at Zetaris is that by doing this, there's some core problems. Number one, it takes a long time. Most business users say to us that to get a new data set, to create a new report, or to have another BI dashboard or new data application, it usually takes days, weeks, or sometimes many months to get to some new insight in the organization. And that's because of this very slow process of replicating data across the system. The other big thing is, as each bit of data moves across the centralized data platform process, as it's copied and pasted, it's replicated and mistakes are made. So data quality becomes a massive problem for organizations. And ultimately, cost is a big issue. So in summary, what Zetaris addresses is the issue of centralizing data and the problems that centralizing data creates. So enterprises want better, faster decision support, want better, faster reports. The problems they face in terms of the slowness and the inability to get to the data quick enough to solve the business problem is to do with these big red arrows, the red arrows that say you must centralize data into a central data warehouse or data lake, and then you must copy it again into the data access layer. Ultimately, what that means is most companies are making decisions, performing analytics on not all the data. They're making I guess, a compromise on just the data that they can move quickly enough into a central data warehouse, cloud data warehouse, or a database within their company. And usually the data is not accurate and it costs millions of dollars. Now, the big analysts, we work with analysts like Gartner and Forrester, they've all come out and said that big data projects, data warehousing projects, typically fail 85% of the time. So what is Zetaris? Zetaris is about stopping the need to centralize data. We say, do not do ETL, don't pipeline the data. What we say is bring the query to the data. So what Zetaris enables with our software is for the business user in a self-service mode. By using our software, the business user can actually join data in different places in the source systems by only needing to see the metadata about the data. So Zetaris creates a metadata store or a map about where the data is, using metadata that's come from those source systems. And what this ultimately does, it enables the business user to get to the data instantly. in real time. So the speed at which new data products can be created, the speed at which new reports and BI systems can be deployed is literally minutes and hours, not days and weeks or months and years in some cases. So the ultimate capability of the Zetaris network data platform is to enable companies instant access to data through virtual data warehouses. So we create logical views of data in different places, and we join that logic using a virtual data warehouse. And in turn, the virtual data warehouse can be connected to any of the usual tools that the business user wants to use, like Tableau, Power BI, whatever, SAS, or if you're a data scientist, you might want to use notebooks like Zeppelin and Jupyter. Ultimately, we're about making decision support, data warehousing, big data a lot more agile, a lot more accurate, much cheaper, because you're not duplicating, like in this old process, you're duplicating data, you're duplicating processing, and you're duplicating the moving scripts, all of those ETL scripts. In our model, we reduce the amount of scripts, the amount of coding, and we reduce the ultimate data footprint. So what's Zetaris? Zetaris eliminates centralized data management. We say that today, with the state of technology, with powerful technologies like Spark and Apache Ignite and our own Lightning SQL distributed data virtualization framework, with our software and the use of open source software, we're enabling the business user to self-serve, build their own views on data in different places using our networked data platform software. Their big benefits, main benefits are, you can now do analytics on all the data for a business question, not just the data that you've managed to store and managed to clean. Data that's happening in real time can be analyzed in context with the historic data. And done in a way that the data quality is at 100%. So Zetaris has a capability to apply data quality rules in real time, so that data is not only analyzed across your network in real time, it's also cleaned and transformed in a business view. And that instant integration of data is one of the biggest value propositions we have. What does our system look like? This is the basic schematic of our system. The first thing I'll say is there is no rip and replace in Zetaris. We're not going to come into your big technology stack. You might be using Snowflake, Teradata. You might be using Oracle. You might have a whole lot of data marts in Azure. We're not going to tell you to shut anything down. What we're going to do is we're going to layer our software over the top of your current data stack, and we're going to make you a lot more agile, a lot quicker to build data sets. We're going to stop this unnecessary duplication for new data applications. We're going to stop the need to create more scripts and more pipelines. And the way we do that is we have a metadata layer where the first thing we do is we connect to your source systems. And as we connect, we create that queryable metadata and we create a data catalog. We also do a thing called metadata surveillance, so that as you deploy reports out of Zetaris, you're aware of the changes that are happening in the back-end source systems. On top of the metadata layer, what we do is we use our analytical query optimizer to build and to manage the queries that you run against the back-end source systems, but ultimately also building out what we call the data layer. So when you create the data layer in Zetaris, you can create a view of data in different places, both virtual and physical. So you can bring data into Zetaris if you really need to. Most of our customers in the data layer have about 80-20. 80% of the data is virtualized, meaning it's somewhere else, and 20% is inside Zetaris. And that enables super agility. It gives you architectural optionality. Then what you do once you have the data layer in place, going up the stack again, looking at this slide, we create what's called a unified semantic layer with data quality and exceptions handling. What that means is that we transform the data from the systems words that are used, the systems schemas and the systems rules, into business views and business rules. And we actually change the language, and we create a unified semantic language so that the business people are using all the same terms, and they're also ultimately joining the same data entities in a very consistent and high integrity way. All of this capability is underpinned by our analytical query optimizer, and it's all software driven. The top layer of our capability is the security and governance. So we enable role-based access control. We enable cell-level security or cell-level access control, row-based access control. And we take it a step further. We not only focus on access governance, we also focus on query governance. So it's great to have, you know, the ability to manage governance by user. So different users can only see different things in the system. But once a user has access to the data, what if they write a query that's wrong, that's going to create a data breach or a privacy breach? Well, we have what's called query governance, policy-based query governance, where the business stakeholders, the leadership, can write policies about data, and that's applied at query time. And so Zetaris will stop any query that a user, a data scientist, an analyst writes that may actually breach a data policy, may create a data breach for the company. So ultimately, what is Zetaris? It's a distributed real-time analytics engine. It enables you to connect to any data source across the cloud, across your network, create a view, attach that view to your preferred tools, whether it's Tableau or Power BI or whatever. So what are the key value proposition components within Zetaris? There are 4 key things that makes Zetaris, gives Zetaris leadership, I guess, in the market. We believe we are the only true analytical query optimizer for data virtualization. So what I'm talking about is this idea of data virtualization. Don't bring the data to a central place, keep it where it is, and only join it in real time. To do that for analytics, you need a special query optimizer, which has taken us 5 years to build. The other thing, the virtual data pipelining is another capability that's unique to Zetaris. That's how we handle data in different shapes, different rules, having different meanings, and needing to conform all of the data in different parts of your business into an understandable semantic view, a unified semantic view. We do that through virtual data pipelining. Again, no real data moving through the pipeline, but the logic about how to transform the data at query time. We have a thing called the intelligent adaptive cache. What that does, what Zetaris does, it learns as the users are accessing their data, as they're querying it across the different backend systems, it learns where common data is being used all the time, where common queries are being run maybe in your cloud. You might have a AWS or Azure or Google database, and all of your users are asking similar questions. So why continually keep going to the cloud? What the adaptive cache does, it creates a copy of common questions that are asked, common data, and we cache it locally, which does 2 things. It brings down the cost of processing in the back end, whether it's in the cloud or in your data center. And it also means that the queries run much faster because you don't have to go a long way to look for the data. And finally, the other core capability I've already spoken about, which is the query governance. So just finishing off now, some of our use cases, and we're finding more and more use cases. Basically, any data warehousing, BI, AI, machine learning project using Zetaris will complete their project by 10 times faster. The cost of that project will be at least 6 times less, and the accuracy of the data being used will be 100% accuracy because we're applying business rules in real time. Some of the projects we've done, or some of the use cases, just self-service BI, letting the business people create their own data layer. Cloud migration, we enable our customers to migrate from legacy old systems, which are in their data center, legacy databases, to the new modern cloud data warehouses. Maybe it's Snowflake in the cloud, or Redshift in the cloud, or Teradata in the cloud, or Azure. We enable that migration in what we call a lights-on migration, where you connect to the data, both the source data and the target data. If you're moving from a source to a target, you can see all of your data during the project and query all of it, so the business doesn't have to wait till the migration project is over. The big value of doing that is the business never has to wait for the migration project to be over to get the value. They can start getting queryable value of both the old data and the new data that's been shipped across to the target database straight away. data quality optimization, intelligent edge, joining the edge data to your data warehouse in real time. We've got telco customers who are joining their network data with their edge data, with the data that's coming out of their towers. Digital twin is another big area that we deal in. So the ability to bring contextual data, historic data, to analytical digital twins. And then the data exchange. Many companies want to share their data. Zetaris enables you to share data without giving it away. So these are some of the use cases, but we've got use cases by every industry. If you've got a big data project and you want to do it quicker, faster, more agile, save a ton of money, you know, I believe we can save at least 40% out of most big data projects, both in time and money, or data warehousing projects. Challenge us on that. We'll show you how to do that. We absolutely love doing pilots with our customers. It's a really light technology. You can use it in our cloud, in your cloud, in your data center. So we're really agile in terms of where you want to host your Zetaris hub. And we're happy to experiment with you and teach you about how Zetaris works, train your data people. Big companies are using the technology ever since the solution came out. Lots of big telcos, banks, retailers, healthcare, government customers are using Zetaris, including some of the logos here. We've got great partnerships with some great companies like the IBMs, Deloitte's, and many more that are not on this slide. And we're also partnering with some of the traditional and new cloud data warehousing, data platform players. We're partnering with them to help them become a lot more agile in their data management, help their customers be able to consume their capabilities much quicker, much lighter, and create a much lighter footprint inside these technology partners' capabilities, and ultimately help them add a lot more value to their end customers. So that's the presentation today. Please reach out to us. We're in the virtual booth on the platform within the conference. Please reach out to me. There's my email. I've even put my phone number there. We're an Australian-based company, but we're now in America. We're in Southeast Asia, across Asia. We're moving into the UK and EMEA. Zetaris's traction is going super fast because we've solved what I believe is the biggest problem in information management, and that's how do you get those projects done much quicker, much cleaner, and how do you let the business drive whilst IT plays as a facilitator. So I hope you've enjoyed our presentation today, and look forward to hearing from you and getting your feedback about our presentation, but also about the conference and your journey in this great virtual platform that we're doing all of this on. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all the presenters for the sharings and presentations of the successes in utilizing technology for business and society. We'll be moving forward to our next session of the day at 12 noon, so do click join session then. Please complete the survey for each of the sessions for us to continuously serve you better. See you back at 12.